Hello. It has been a while. I always say that, but it's been a while since I've last podcasted and I have a lot to share. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining if this is your first time, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. My name is Ashley and I'm a Canadian knitter living in Victoria, BC, Canada, so on Vancouver Island. And it's fall. It's sweater weather, it's cool, it's a rainy day today. I'm looking outside my window here and it just looks like a cozy day that you want to bundle up in all your nice knits. But yeah, I had some time and so I wanted to film a little podcast about what I've been up to. So I hope that you can get something cozy to sip on and maybe work away on a project while I share with you what I've been up to. Today I am drinking some Earl Grey tea. That's my favorite out of my volunteers are special mug. I do a lot of volunteer work and I saw this at the thrift store and thought it was very appropriate. All right, so we're going to go through the usual. I'll show you some of my finished objects. After that, some works in progress, and then a little bit of designing that I've been doing. Oh, but first, I almost forgot just to briefly mention what I'm wearing. This is the Agustina Boxy top. It's a free sewing pattern on fabricstore.com. So anything that I mention in the video, the links will be in the description box below. So you'll be able to find the link to this pattern or anything else that I mention. I heard about this top from Casey from Young Folk Knits and Becky from A Hand Knit Letter. They were both sewing one of these and I looked up the pattern. It's super simple. It's such a quick, satisfying sewing project just to kind of get me back into my sewing mojo a little bit. So yeah, I made this one morning. The fabric it's a cotton double gauze where one side is this kind of wider gingham and then the other side is a smaller gingham. So I thought it was kind of fun to show that off on the arms. And I made mine a little bit of a high-low sort of thing going on there. If I made another one, I actually think I would cut the back, cut it a little bit longer and make more of a pronounced high-low. But this one is just, there's maybe a difference of 1.5 inches from the front to the back. And it's just a fun little boxy top. It's really comfortable. Yeah, I like it. All right, so let's get to knitting. Let's get started with some finished objects. I have a few, and I'll go through this chronologically from what I finished least recently, not most recently, the furthest back. So my first finished object is my vacation vest by Parker Williams. I think that's her name, or Park Williams. She's Park and Knit on Instagram, and this is just a little fun vest that I made. I used cotton yarn that's vintage. My mom had it in her stash for a long time and then she gave it to me. So the yarn is actually 2 plies. It's marled with a black and then a white, and they kind of got some like thick and thin action going on there. So it makes for a really nice texture. It's very forgiving. It hides any mistakes. It also hides a lot of details. This the pattern is very simple, and so there's not a lot of details going on, but you can't really tell, like, there's actually ribbing along the edge here. And yeah, you can't really see with the vest. This is it. And there's going to be a couple hook and eye closures here to just kind of hold it closed. I really like it. It was a super fast, fun knit. One thing that I don't love is how low the armholes are, but it's a vest. And I'm always going to be wearing something underneath this. In the summertime, maybe just a little tank top. In the winter, I was thinking like a long sleeve, either crew neck or turtleneck. So it's okay, but yeah, the underarms or the armholes are just really quite large. And she does give some directions in the pattern on how you can fix that if you want to kind of raise up or close up this opening with some crochet kind of, I don't know, chains. I don't crochet. So I don't know the terminology, but I guess just kind of crocheting and filling that in a little bit to bring up the armhole. But I'm not too concerned. This isn't a fancy knit. It's just a fun and easy to wear kind of knit for summer and fall. And yeah, I'm happy that it's done. And I need to stop procrastinating on just sewing on those little hook and eyes. I've worn it a few times though, just open, or I've also just pinned it closed and worn it a bit. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. My next finished object is a toque, as we call them in Canada. My husband's American, so he would call this a beanie. I made this for my husband. Started knitting it on a camping trip that we went on in the summer, and I knit this long tube until I was incredibly bored and then started doing the decreases. So this is using fingering weight sock yarn from Craft Me Knot & Co. My husband really liked this color. I showed him a picture of it and asked him would he be interested in anything in that, and yeah, he wanted a hat. And I really like it too. It's fun. So there isn't a pattern for this. I kind of just cast on a certain amount of stitches, and he wanted wide ribbing, so this is actually 3x3 ribbing. And then when I got to the decreases, I just divided it into 4 sections because of the amount of stitches, or just how it got divided up. 2 of these quadrants are making decreases into a knit column, and then these ones are making decreases into a purl column. So it's not the tidiest, but it works. And no one's really looking at the very tippity top of your head. So I think it's fine. He wanted kind of that fisherman style, like small skull cap sort of thing. So that's how he wears it. Myself, I like to wear them with a little bit of like sticky up stuff going on. So that's how I would wear it. But yeah, this is his hat, and he's already worn it a couple times. He actually went out target practicing or shooting yesterday, and I was kind of glad to know that he was wearing something very high visible. Yeah, so he wasn't going to get lost or get hurt out in the bush. So yeah, this is his new toque. My next finished object is a test knit that I was doing for Rebecca Clow. It's the Alder sweater. And I didn't even talk about this as a WIP. I was planning on filming a podcast through like a few weeks ago, and I'd be able to kind of talk about this while I was working on it, but I have cast on and finished it since my last podcast, so it is a finished object. But I'll talk all about it now, but I'll just give you a little peek. Look at it! I mean, look at all these colors and the stripes and the texture, and it's just so fallish. It's the perfect sweater, perfect fall sweater, perfect timing. I'm so glad that this is done and ready to wear right now. But yeah, I will tell you a little bit about this. So I'll show you my swatch when I first initially started kind of gauge swatching for this project. I knew that I wanted to use stash yarn. That's kind of my goal in the coming months. My stash has just been growing and growing and I need to actually use the yarn in it. So I wanted to kind of look at what I already had and see what I could use. This pattern uses DK weight yarn. Rebecca and a few of the other test knitters used Sonder yarn, which eventually I would like to try that one. It looks beautiful, but I knew I didn't want to order, you know, some new DK. I wanted to just use Ovis in my stash. So I looked through and I had quite a few different options, and so I gauge swatched with some different ideas. One of my ideas was to use this cream as a main color and then stripe the contrast colors throughout, which I think is really pretty, and it would have been quite pretty. Then another portion of my gauge swatch, I just wanted to see what it would look like with this kind of coppery brown or rusty brown color as the main color, and then the mustard as a contrast. And I didn't like it how low definition that is. It doesn't really stand out. And then for the rest of my gauge swatch, I just went crazy and I was like, what if I just striped everything? And so there's not really an apparent main color or contrast color. It's just alternating using, sometimes you're using the color as a main color, sometimes you're using it as the contrast color. And for the yarn that I had in stash, this made the most sense. Between these three kind of options here, I was torn between either making it like this top section or the bottom section. And if I had gone with this, I would have had to buy some more cream yarn. So I just figured I'm going to knit this completely from stash, and I'll just do the crazy section. And I'm glad I did. So this is using a whole bunch of different DK, some worsted, like technically called worsted yarn, but it's kind of a light worsted, and some sport weight yarn. I'll see if I can remember the majority of these. This kind of mustardy color is Sadness Garn Perfect. Yeah, I have a ball of it here. This is all that I have left, so I'll need to make like some mittens or something out of this, but Sadness Garn Perfect. Then the cream and, where is it? This kind of reddy color. These were both actually yarns from my grandmother's stash, so they're kind of special. I'm really glad that I've been able to use them up in projects here and there, and I actually used the last of this cream in this project, so it's just kind of a special thing to add, and yeah, it makes the sweater a little bit more nostalgic. Then a few of these other colors are actually Rosa Pomar Brusca. Yeah, I've got another ball of it here. So this is technically a worsted weight, but it really didn't make a difference in the gauge. So that is this kind of brown color here, the navy blue, and there's a little bit of kind of oatmeal throughout it. And you can see I didn't really have a plan of how I was going to stripe my colors. I just kind of knit for a bit and kind of would see, okay, what haven't I used in a little bit, or what would look nice next to this color. At first I was going for high contrast, but then there are times where I do very, very low contrast, like this brown next to this red color, or further down, where is it? I do like a few more just kind of creams and oatmeals touching each other. And I feel like overall, it really didn't matter. Like there was no plan, no method to it, and it all just kind of looks funky and fun. It looks kind of cool. So I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. You can see I did start to run out of some colors, like my navy blue. I did the body and I did the sleeves, and then at this point I ran out of navy blue. So for the rest of my sleeves, there's none of that left. Same with the purple. The purple was a tiny little bit of Baroque vintage DK that I had left over, and I used it a bit at the top of the yoke here, and then I ran out on the sleeves. Yeah, I think I used it just right here. Yeah, there was even some stripes where I ran out of a certain color and I just switched to using another color, and because this is so busy, it honestly doesn't even really matter. So if you were ever to do this for yourself, I say just go for it. Don't overthink it. Yeah, if you just kind of have like a color palette that you're working with, that all the colors kind of play nicely together, just have fun with it, and don't worry if you're gonna run out of a color. Just use what you have and it ends up fun. Oh yeah, a couple of the other colors that I used, or yarns that I used, were Patton's Croy FX. That's that kind of like corally pink that gives these little pink pops throughout. And so this is technically a sport weight. They actually classify it as fingering, but it's not. It's definitely a sport weight. But yeah, the pattern's very forgiving with using different weights of yarn because of the texture. So it really just kind of hides that these are all different, slightly different weights. And it didn't seem to be a problem. So this pattern is top-down raglan. You make these nice raglan increases. I really love how Rebecca figured this out for the raglan increases, to kind of just make this fun little visual look of arrows going down. And then you knit your body, go back to your sleeves, do your sleeve decreases, and then nice little ribbed cuff, go back and do your picked up collar, and it's a folded collar. The fit is awesome. I love it. It's just like a really comfortable sweatshirt. It kind of is giving like 80s sweater vibes with the look of it, the shape of it. There's kind of like wider arms that get decreased down, and yeah, I think that the colors and stripes that I chose add to that sort of 80s vibe. I'll show you what it looks like on. So this blocked out so nicely. It's kind of a dense, thicker fabric, just because with this texture, there are parts where you knit, 3 times into one stitch, and then on the next row, you're decreasing your those 2 extra stitches out, and it makes this texture. It's actually called, I think it's called a thorn stitch, and you can do it just with one color or this is in her pattern supposed to be with 2 colors. But yeah, that texture just kind of adds a little bit more density to the fabric. So when I was knitting it, I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be pretty hot, like a hot sweater. But then after blocking it out, it kind of just all opened up and loosened up, and it's got a really nice feel to it. It's definitely a warm sweater, but I think that's great, especially for this time of year. I feel like I could wear this outside just on its own without a jacket right now, and then as we head into the cooler months, then I can wear it with a jacket over it. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it, and it is going to be released this week, I believe. Yeah, I need to look up the date. I think it's this Friday, but it's going to be released very soon, and I think that you should check it out. I think it's just a beautiful pattern. It's something kind of unique, like the stitch pattern is unique, and Rebecca's patterns, the way that she writes them are just awesome. So yeah, it was fun. My husband actually wants one of these for himself. We were thinking just all one color, so that you can just kind of see the texture. But yeah, he likes the shape and fit of it, and I think it would look great on him too. All right, so that's it for finished objects. Now let's head into some WIPs. And my first WIP is really annoying to me. I cast this on in the summer. It was still August, and I was all excited about getting this done for summer, and now I just don't know. I'm so close to being done too. I think that's what's frustrating me. So I'll tell you about this, and you can let me know what you think I should do. This is the Camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I am using Ovis, etc. Igneae yarn. So this is it here. It's a fingering weight, non-superwash wool and silk yarn. I thought that the silk would make it a really nice fabric for a top, but the wool in it, it's Rami wool, so I'm not familiar with that breed of sheep. I've never made anything with Rami before, but after making this negative ease top, it's a little scratchy. It's a little itchy. So I just, yeah, there's a few things going on with this top that I'm just not in love with, and I'm debating ripping it all out and using the yarn for something else, which seems super frustrating to me, but it's just, I mean, that's just my time that, you know, I wasted, I spent on this, and like, yeah, I don't know, it's fine, that's life sometimes. But yeah, I think that the pattern is really cool looking. It's just a fun, like, typical tank top. I don't know if I would ever knit it again is the thing. I didn't enjoy the process of knitting it. I just wanted this cute little tank top for afterwards. I wanted the product. But the actual process was like of no fault at all to the designer. It's like a beautiful looking pattern. The finishings are perfect. The instructions in the pattern are super detailed and super easy to follow. But it's just fingering weight yarn, knit at a fairly tight gauge. You have a lot of stitches using, I believe it was 3mm needles to make this fabric for a tank top. You have these teeny tiny little straps that you then need to pick up stitches for the arms, the neck, the other arm. You knit for whatever length is specified, then you fold it over and sew it down. I think that it makes a really nice looking finished tank top, but it was so annoying to do. For my size, I think it was a size 3 again. I figured out that for the armholes in the neck, I needed to pick up over 500 stitches. And I don't like picking up stitches. I think that's the most annoying part of knitting. Even like making a sock and having to pick up the stitches on the heel flap, I don't enjoy it. I always second guess myself of where I'm supposed to be putting the needle in, like, is this the right way? Am I skipping enough stitches, you know, because you're supposed to pick up like 2 out of 3 or 5 out of 7 or whatever it is. But yeah, I always am like second guessing myself, and yeah, it was just stressful and frustrating. It looks beautiful, it really does. But then in the end, after I tried it on, I realized like this tightly next to my skin was just not comfortable. So I'll try it on and I'll show you some B-roll of what it looks like on. I think that the fit is really cool. I think that it's very flattering. I like the high neckline. Yeah, it fits awesomely, but I probably just chose the wrong yarn for this. And I don't know if I have the patience to make it again in the right yarn. But if you are interested in making this pattern, choose a nice soft yarn. Merino wool, I wonder if the Knitting for Olive pure silk would be stretchy enough, but that would feel really, really nice. So yeah, I don't know. Another thing that I didn't love with this yarn too was the way that the kind of pooling started happening as soon as I started knitting in the round. I really like this top section here where I was knitting flat, and the little bits of undyed yarn are kind of just scattered throughout. But then when I started working in the round, it started pooling a little bit, or just doing this weird kind of like whoop going on. And yeah, I also don't love that. So I got really as far as doing the hem on this, and then I got discouraged and I put it in a bag in my closet, and I haven't looked at it since. And it's also, summer's over, so I'm not gonna wear this. So I might just sit on this for a little bit before I pull it out. But yeah, I do think that I'm gonna have to just call this one a wash and reuse, rip it out and use the yarn for something else, because it's beautiful yarn. I don't know what I should use it for though. I have 2 skeins. If you have any suggestions, let me know. And yeah, let me know if you've made this pattern, Camisole number 9, and what you thought of it. Such a shame, because I really wanted this like in my wardrobe to wear, but not this one. So who knows if I'll get up the gumption to go through knitting that again in the proper yarn. We'll see. So that's WIP number 1 that's just gonna sit in timeout for a while. My next WIP is another test knit, because I just can't stop myself right now. I've really been enjoying doing test knits. I feel like it's just a fun environment. You're knitting along with a bunch of other knitters, so it's kind of like a knit along. So the sense of community is really nice, but you have a hard deadline, so at times it can get a little stressful, but I feel like it's very motivating for me to finish. Personally, I like to choose test knits that give me a long enough window where I feel comfortable that I know I can finish within that time frame. So personally, for myself, I like an 8-week window for a sweater. Sometimes I've seen test knit applications for like fingering weight sweaters or colorwork sweaters in 4 or 5 weeks. I wouldn't want to put that stress on me. I want knitting to be fun and enjoyable, and not stressful. So yeah, I choose test knits that have longer knitting periods, usually like that 8 to 10 week knitting period is my sweet spot. And ones that aren't too complicated, that I know aren't going to be too difficult for me. So either using heavier weight yarns that are going to knit up faster, or stitch patterns that I feel like aren't going to be too difficult for me. So that leads us into my test knit that I'm working on. I'm just about ready to split for sleeves. So this is the yoke of it. This is the Doppio sweater. I think it's Doppio sweater or Doppio pullover. It's by Seunghee, what's her last name? Seunghee Hong. And I've been following her on Instagram and watching her as she was designing this sweater, and the details in it are just beautiful, just stunning. So I knew that I wanted to knit this one up. And then when I saw that the gauge was like, what is it, 14 stitches per 4 inches or 15 stitches, like it's a really big gauge using 6mm needles, I knew, okay, that's gonna be a fast quick knit. I wanted to sign up for it. So some of the details that caught my eye were the shape of her raglans. Let me see if I can put this properly on the needles without losing stitches. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. This is the arm, you know, like it's gonna go over like that. So she uses a compound raglan where it's not just following the same rhythm of increasing. So sometimes you're increasing just on the body, sometimes you're just increasing the sleeves, sometimes you're increasing both. But it creates a curved raglan. So instead of just that straight line doop, that you see on some sweaters, this one is actually curved down, which is super flattering and makes it fit really, really nicely. So the front has that curve, and then the back is curved differently. So it's actually slightly straighter. So just a really, really thoughtful design that's going to fit really well. I'll put it on so you can see my little cape. Let's see here. And then it's gonna have picked up stitches or a picked up collar and then folded over. So this will get kind of sucked in a bit. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the raglans curve down like that. I love it. Oh, it's gonna fit so good. Some other details about the pattern that I thought were awesome too is she includes instructions on how to do a faux seam. So we love circular knitting. It's so easy, it's so satisfying. You know, you just cast on at the neck, you're knitting in a circle till you split for sleeves, you knit the tube for the body, you knit the tube for the sleeves. It's all circular and flows really nicely, and it seems quite easy. But with that, sometimes the structure of those sweaters don't really have a lot of support to the weight of your sweater. So it can pull and stretch out, and it just, yeah, it's sometimes hard to hold its shape after a lot of wear. So when you look back at those older style patterns that were seamed or knit in panels and then, yeah, seamed or sewn up, that seaming actually creates structure and it anchors your stitches to where it's been seamed. So it, yeah, it strengthens your sweater so that it's not going to bag out and keep stretching and pulling because of those seamed areas. So what Seunghee has done here is she's designed a sweater that is knit in the round, but then at certain points there are faux seams that actually give you that structure that you want, which I think is brilliant. It's so smart. So I'm going to be doing the faux seams on the side seams of the sweater. There are options to do it on the raglans as well, but I didn't with this one. But the next one that I knit, I want to try that out, where you do just something a little special in the raglans so that you can do a faux seaming to kind of strengthen that, so that it's not going to stretch out over time and wear. Yeah, I think that this pattern is just brilliant. I'm so impressed with her designs, her thoughtfulness, and the way that she's presented in the pattern. It is so simple and easy to follow. So this has just been an absolute delight to knit up, and I'm really excited for the finished sweater too. So the yarns that I'm using are an undyed worsted weight. Grab it here. Yeah, an undyed worsted merino superwash, and then I'm holding it with one strand of mohair. This is Zeezee Textiles Kid Silk Lace in the colorway Baroque. And I have these both in stash again, which is exciting. So I had bought a bunch of undyed yarn that I thought years ago, oh, I might try dyeing, and I never have. It's just sat in my closet. So I figured, okay, I might as well use this up. And then these were a couple of special skeins that I had ordered a while back, and I just thought they were so beautiful. So this is a good project to use them in. So the mohair's got some chocolate browns, some grays, some golds, even some kind of chartreuse green little bits. It's so pretty. And then with the marling in the fabric, it kind of just makes this oatmeal, like from far away it just reads oatmeal beige, but then when you get up close you can see there's differences in the color. You know, there's those grays, there's those browns, and every now and then you just get this cute little green bit. Where's one I can see? Yeah, you get these little green pops like that. I don't know if you can see. Oh, so cute. This is knitting up really quickly. I've been working on this for about 3, maybe 4 days now, and it's just flying by. So I'm not too concerned about the deadline for this test knit. I feel like this is going to be an easy one to reach. And it's just such a beautiful pattern, so I'm pretty motivated to keep working on it. So that's it for my WIPs. For the next section, I thought that I would talk to you a little bit about something that I'm designing right now. I get a little bit nervous talking about what I'm currently working on or designing because, I don't know, just self-doubt. What if it's not gonna work out? But I also really enjoy watching other people's process of how they work through the design process. So I thought it would be nice to just share where I'm at right now and how I'm working through, and eventually you'll get to see the finished product. So Rachel from Zeezee Textiles very generously sent me some yarn for my next design. I've been a customer of hers for a few things, like even my last test knit that I showed you, that was yarn that I purchased from her, and I just absolutely love the colorways that she comes up with. So we were talking, and she sent me yarn for some winter accessories that I'm going to design. So this is not superwash worsted, I believe. Let me see. Nope, it is merino, superwash merino 4-ply worsted. This is the colorway Nordlys, a nice bluey green, and then this is butterfly bush, which is just like this glowy purple. Oh, it's so pretty. And then this is puffer coat, kind of an orangey coral red. And I'm going to be making fingerless mitts and a headband. So I'll show you where I'm at with the process. I made a fingerless mitt here. I'll kind of tuck in my ends so that it looks better for you to see. There's another end here. Okay, so this is it. It is using 2x1 ribbing, so the ribs really pop out. I actually really like that 2x1 ribbing, just because 1x1 or 2x2, you don't get that definition of that rib, that knit line poking out. So yeah, it's 2x1 ribbing where you actually reverse your pattern so that when you fold over the edge here, it lines up perfectly with the ribbing beneath. Because when you knit typical ribbing, like for a hat, usually when you fold it over, the ribbing is offset, because on the wrong side, it's the opposite. So I just wanted to include that detail where when it's folded over, the ribbing is just exactly the same as the rest of the mitt, which I thought was kind of cool. You've got a thumb gusset here for that shaping. And so this is the 1-color version, and then I'm going to be making a 2-color version with the butterfly bush and the puffer coat. So the body of the mitt, I guess, the main part of the mitt is going to be 1 color, and then the folded over cuff will be another color, the contrast color. And then the headband is going to be that same ribbing where it's half 1 color and half the other color with these two, and then with the green it's just going to be all 1 color. So where I'm at with the design process is I'm happy with this. Yeah, I'm happy with the shape of this. I like the length. I feel like on a cold day, if you wanted to, you could kind of pop that up to warm your fingers. But yeah, I feel like I like everything about this. But when I was kind of wearing this and looking at it, I thought, what would it look like if you folded up the bottom part? All these ends are making it less pretty for you to look at. Here we go. How cute is that? So after knitting this, I realized, you know what, I kind of want the folded up cuff of this mitt too, just to make it kind of extra cozy. You can have the option to roll it down if you want it to fit underneath your sweater or underneath your coat. But yeah, I just really like the look of that fold here and fold there. But I'll need to go back because, like I said, again, this ribbing matches. This does not, because it's the wrong side of the ribbing. So I just, what I think I'll do for this one is I think I'm gonna cut my knitting and then just graft on that ribbing knit in the proper direction on the right side. So that's going to be my 1-colored version. And then my 2-colored version, I think I'll just make, just like I said before, where this is all 1 color and then the contrast is only going to be this fold up here, not the bottom down there, because I feel like that's a little too much, too sandwichy. If you had like these 2 colors the same, that color the same. That's just my opinion. I don't know, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below on what you like. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. But these are so fast to knit up because they're worsted weight. I'm going to make a really big range of sizes from kids to adults, so they'll be great for gift knitting. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I'm gonna be working on those in the next couple of weeks, but let me know what you think. And that is that. I think that's everything for today. So I'm gonna leave it at that. We won't talk about dream knitting this time around, but if you've stuck around for this long, thank you so much. I hope that you have a wonderful day and happy knitting. I'll see you next time. Bye.